Hello, my name is Liz and welcome to the Tiny Treatery. And today I am making homemade Rice Krispie Treats using leftover flavored PEEPS from my video where I did a tier list of like 11 different PEEPS flavors, which by the way, that video flopped. So if you haven't seen it already, consider checking it out because I endured a lot of PEEPS to post that. Anyway, these PEEPS have been sitting around and I tried to cart them off to one of my friends. I was like asking her if she likes PEEPS and she broke the terrible news to me that nobody likes PEEPS, but then she said, why don't I try making homemade Rice Krispie Treats with them, which I've actually never done at all. So this is gonna be a totally new experience from start to finish, so hopefully it works out. I'll meet you in the kitchen. Welcome to the kitchen. So, I have everything set out here, already prepared. The recipe actually comes on the back of the box of Rice Krispies, and it says 3 tablespoons of butter, 1 whole package, or 10 ounces of jet puffed marshmallows, and 6 cups of Rice Krispies. Obviously, I'm going to be making smaller batches, and I'm gonna do multiple different flavors, so I did some math, blah, 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 and the recipe I have come up with for my little portions is 5 to 6 grams of butter, 35 grams of marshmallow, and 20 grams of Rice Krispies, which I have already set in bowls here. So I'm going to be doing 4 different versions. For the first one, I'm going to be using jet puffed marshmallows per the recipe, just to have like a control batch. And then I'll do sparkly wild berry peep flavor, which was my favorite one, I think, in my tier list. Cotton candy, because I think that'll be interesting, and sour watermelon. And I have these itty bitty pans here, so I'm hoping one of my portions will about be the size of this pan. I have 2 that are really small like this, and then 2 that are longer, so I'm just gonna put like half of flavor in one side and half in the other. I'm sure it'll be fine. So I'm gonna measure out the marshmallows and then we'll start this process. There is a bit of unfortunate irony in the fact that the whole purpose of this is I'm trying to get rid of these marshmallow treats that I already have, but for the science and narrative of it all, I got more marshmallows. So I don't know how this is helping me, but at least it'll be interesting. Okay, all the marshmallows are measured out. For the sour watermelon, I pretty much needed exactly 4 chicks. For the cotton candy, I did have to mutilate one of them to get the right weight. And for the sparkly wild berry, I have 3 bunnies plus an ear. The fun thing is that the recipe's on the back, so I don't even need to go get instructions off my iPad or anything. It's right here. The weird thing is that it's like really tiny down here on this little piece of paper. It fits with the design and the setting, like, oh, you just have this recipe on the table with all your snacks, but not that easy to read, so, you know, form over function, I guess. In a large saucepan, I am using my cute little cow pan. Melt butter over low heat. Add marshmallows and stir until completely melted. Remove from heat. Then add the cereal and stir until well coated. And then using buttered spatula or wax paper, evenly press mixture into size of pan that is larger than this, coated with cooking spray. So I guess I'll cooking spray those now before I forget, and then we can get melting. I always do this thing when I coat things with cooking spray where I like take a paper towel and like make sure it's all around and there's not too much like extra standing liquid, but I don't know if that like ruins the purpose, but it just feels like this is just like too much running liquid, you know? I feel like we just need a thin sheen of oil around it. So that's my technique. Comment below if you think it sucks. Does anybody like know anyone, or like is anybody watching one of those people that like uses a paper towel to like dab the grease off of pizza? I don't ordinarily do that. You know, I just take it, grease and all, but there have been a few times when the pizza has been so greasy I felt the need to do that. All right, so take one of my portions of butter, which are already kind of melty, put it in my pan. Well, the butter is almost totally melted already. It's a very tiny amount of butter, but you know, that's just the case of the recipe. It's not that much butter relative to marshmallows. So first, I'm gonna be doing the control one, which is the jet puffed. I don't really believe these are gonna melt. Like, it just doesn't seem realistic to me. My little extra camera here, the lighting is not great, so you can't really get the best idea of what this looks like. I'm sorry about that, but it is sort of melting. I'll say the most annoying part about this is probably going to be that I'm gonna have to wash the pan in between every batch, but that's the way it goes. Wow, I don't know why I just like didn't believe in the concept of marshmallows melting. Obviously it's real and works if this recipe exists, but something about like the bouncy texture, it didn't lend itself to the ability to melt, which is stupid because, I don't know, can't you melt anything? You can melt like metal. Why wouldn't you be able to melt a marshmallow? Can you melt like a potato chip? I mean, surely at some temperature it would happen. That's just like the reality of chemistry, right? Scientists sound off in the comments. Okay, it almost seems fully melted, so that was pretty easy. Now I have to mix it into the cereal. I hope this goes as well as the other parts did. Oh God, it's already like sticky and bad. I don't know, I'm losing faith in the process. I'm gonna put this in water right away. Hopefully that'll make it easier to clean. I don't know if this is exactly working. I'm trying to show you. Is this just like how it is? Wow, I hate this part. I should have known this would suck. It's kind of interesting, not looking forward to doing it 3 more times. I don't know if I coated it as evenly as I was supposed to, but I did what I could. I'm gonna put the control in one of the little pans because I want its flavor to stay pure. The stringiness is like kind of funny. Cumbersome, but also pretty silly. Okay, that fits pretty well. I don't know if I'm supposed to put it in the fridge or not. It doesn't really say. So I won't for now, and I'm gonna clean the pan and move on to the PEEP one. I am hoping the PEEP one works, but I don't know if the consistency of a PEEP is gonna affect all of this. We'll have to see. Okay, batch 2. Oh, this butter is melted. And I'm gonna do the cotton candy ones because they have like these weird colored something, these like blue specks on them. And I just think it might be the weirdest one. So I only think I'm gonna show you one full PEEP situation on camera. So I'm gonna do the most interesting one. Okay, seems to be melting pretty well. I think the cotton candy marshmallow is fully melted. Let's do the icky, sticky, difficult part. Maybe I'm supposed to put the cereal like into the pot, but I think that'll just make my cleaning situation worse. So I'm just gonna endure doing it this way. No, get off my spatula. This part sucks. Are you liking this out of focus angle? I hope so. There's like a whole bunch of marshmallow goo down at the bottom. Come on, incorporate, integrate, assimilate. Calling that done. Putting it in the pan. No, it's on my hand. Ew. And here is our cotton candy Rice Krispie treat. Okay, I realized obviously I don't need 2 of these because I'm doing 4 batches, so I need 1 of these because it holds 2. My bad. On to the next. Do the sour watermelon. Drop them in. This color is kind of nasty because it's like the green and the red mixed together and it just made a weird silly putty looking color. Does not look cute like the cotton candy one, but it is what it is. It really looks like silly putty. This is gross. Putting this in the pan is going to be slightly more difficult because I'll have to like divide the space evenly. Okay, this one is awaiting its buddy and then I'll be done. And this is the sparkly wild berry. All right, the sparkly wild berry is melted, the last batch. All right, there's a little bit of a gap between them, but I feel like they're at appropriate squareness, so I'm done. First order of business, I have to change this calendar, which should have been changed for the last video actually, but I keep getting confused because I'm filming ahead of time. There is May. Second, I promised in the last video I would de-Easter this basket, and since I'm basically trying to get rid of or use all of my Easter candy, aka PEEPS, I guess it's a good time to also do that. Rest in PEEPS. Okay, so I have 4 little pieces here. I cut them out. This one is a little bit of a runt. I didn't get the size right, but you know, it doesn't really matter. So we have our control, which is made with the regular jet puffed marshmallows, cotton candy, which is the bright pink one, sour watermelon, which is the runt one that looks like it's covered in silly putty, and sparkly wild berry, which is the purple one. But I think we need a control even for the control. So naturally, I had to buy a real Rice Krispie treat, and I'm annoyed that it's so large. I wanted one of the like cute little square ones, but this is what they had at 7-Eleven, and I was not going to buy a whole box just so I could have a cute square one on camera. So it does look like the rest of them. Not really sure what there is to say. It's a Rice Krispie treat, so let's dig in. Wow. Okay, I'm like really hungry right now, so that might be impacting my opinion, but Rice Krispie treats are a lot tastier than I remember. I think I typically think of them as like a scroungy snack that's like at the back of the pantry that you bite into and it's kind of like stale. Maybe I was having some negative Rice Krispie treat experiences, but that was really good. My friend who gave me this idea basically said that the ones that come in the packages are not good, but the homemade ones are really good. So honestly, this is a tall order because I think that was pretty good. Let's start with the control. Interesting. It is different. So the store-bought one has that mystery flavor that they inject into all types of store-bought treats. Ho-Hos, Rice Krispie Treats apparently, M&M's donuts, stuff like that. This does not have that, and the tiny bit of butter flavor is coming through. So this one is almost like a little brighter somehow. I really need to like take a class on how to describe flavors because I'm really bad at it. But, I mean, it's Rice Krispie cereals and like marshmallow. There's not a lot of flavor going on in the first place, so the store-bought mystery flavor that they inject into store-bought treats is kind of like giving me a more flavorful experience somehow. Like this one tastes a little bit more like nothing than this one does, although in general they both kind of taste like nothing. But the tiny hint of butter is nice, and the texture is a little gooier, so I don't know, but they're like really comparable. Out of anything you could ever do in a homemade manner, I would say this is like the most comparable you're ever going to get. Like, you might as well just do this because it tastes almost identical minus the store-bought thing, which I kind of like, but most people hate. So my big thesis about that was it tastes like nothing. So let's see if flavored PEEPS impacts that at all. I feel like cotton candy is the most exciting, so I am tempted to save it, but I'm only gonna have one opportunity to bite into a Rice Peepsy treat. I didn't come up with that, my friend did, she's a genius. But it needed to be said for the first time. So I think because of that, I should pick the one that I think will be the best, and then we can get into these other two. Wow, okay. It's subtle, but it is present, which is a nice addition to the plain version. Have you ever had cotton candy grapes? They're these special grapes that are sometimes in the produce section, and they're like genetically engineered to somehow taste literally like cotton candy. And I think some people maybe can't really taste it, but if you can, it's like incredible because you bite into it and it's like, how did they even do this? This does not make any sense, because it tastes exactly like cotton candy. It's like jarring and it seems unnatural, but then it kind of fades away and just tastes like a grape. So that's what this is like. You bite into it and it's like, whoa, this is cotton candy flavored. And then pretty quickly it's like, okay, this is a Rice Krispie treat. So I'm gonna do Sparkly Wild Berry next, which was my favorite PEEPS flavor in my tier list video. This is much stronger. The flavor carries throughout. And my first instinct was to say, oh my gosh, it tastes like blue ice cream at Kings Island, which I am pretty sure I said in the PEEPS video. So it's maintaining that. Whether or not that's an accurate assessment of Sparkly Wild Berry flavor, and sorry to everybody who has not been to Kings Island and therefore has not had the blue ice cream, but this one is way more flavorful than either of these two have been so far. So lastly, sour watermelon, which looks really gross, but it is sour. Wow, okay. That one also very powerful flavor we have going on here with very clear sour watermelon flavor. It steals the show. You're getting a Rice Krispie texture, but with that sour watermelon flavor. My friend is a genius for coming up with this idea because it worked phenomenally. It's a very easy way to spice up a homemade Rice Krispie because if you're already making a homemade Rice Krispie, you simply just use a PEEP instead. And if you have PEEPS that are sitting around from Easter, even if they're the plain flavor, this works, so you can do it. And it might have a cute color because, you know, PEEPS have the colored sugar on them. This might be one of the biggest wins I've ever done on the channel. You know, I don't know if I've had an experimental success story quite this great. So if you have leftover PEEPS, plain or interesting flavored, you can try this out. And wouldn't you rather be biting into something that has the texture of a Rice Krispie than like a PEEP? I think so. The best usage of PEEPS that could possibly ever exist. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more tiny treats.